All right, so today we will going to discuss about very critical concept in data warehouse, and in interview people may ask all these things, right? So we'll spend some time here again 1 hour, and we'll talk about. And again, it's a theoretical concept which we'll cover, and practical mostly will start from Monday, right? We'll start creating the tables and a lot of things we will do, but some theoretical concepts we should aware of before we jump into the practical thing. And that's why I don't like ppts and all, but yeah, it's important and I want to share the details. Now there are two types of tables: facts and dimensions. Now question arises, what is facts and what is dimension? Okay, so in a data warehouse, basically the tables are segregated into facts and dimensions. Now those guys who already know Tableau, if you guys remember, there was a concept of dimensions and measures, right? All of you guys who know Tableau. So dimensions are what? Categorical data, gender, state, city, right? However, the measures are what? Numerical data. We have profit, sales, salary, discount, all those things. Same concept is here also in data warehouse. Fact is nothing but it's a measure, right? So if I put sales, profit, discount, I will store somewhere, and that table is facts. If I talk about dimensions, then dimensions are again nothing but I'll store the categorical data, right? So just a basic understanding, but we'll discuss more in deep. There are various type of facts: additive fact, semi-additive fact, non-additive fact, and factless fact. Now question arises, what are these different types, right? Additive, semi-additive, non-additive, factless fact. What is this all about? For example, sales. Now can I say, suppose I have, let's try to create a diagram so that we'll have a good understanding. Let's say give me a minute. All right, so let's say we have tables, right? For example, let's say I have a sales, right? Sales is what? Sales is a measure, fact. Now I have various dimensions. For example, customer. I have a table called customer, which has information about customer name, customer age, customer gender, customer location, all those things we have, right? So I have a customer table. It's a customer dimension. Now, why it is known as dimension? Because it consists of all the customer information. I don't have any sales, profit, discount details here. I just have the customer information. That's it. Same way, let's say I have a location. Let's say my business is running in various different location. So I have the location. Let's say Asia. In Asia, we have what do you say? India. Then we have uh, Pakistan and so on, right? So I have a location details. Now, after that, I have one more dimension. Let's say product. Now I have a product. Let's say I have TV, which comes under electronics, then sofa, which comes under furniture, and so on. So I have a product dimension. So here in this product table, I will have the details about the products. Like Suppose in electronics category, so one column will have the category electronics, then I will have a subcategory, right? The same way we have in sample superstore data. So I have a category, then subcategory, then segment, then product, then product name, and there are a lot of columns which consist in the product dimension. Let's say these are the 3 dimensions as of now. Now I want to know the sales. Can I say that customer will have its own sales? Let's say Rakshit purchased some product, so he has his own sales value. Suppose I am a business, and Rakshit purchased some product from my store, so I can able to slice the data of sales based on the customer. Can I say that how much Rakshit purchased from my store? Is that making sense? All of you. Now, can I say location also? Like, let's say I have a location Nagpur where my business is running. I want to know how much sales is happening in Nagpur. Let's say I have one more location in this table, Gurgaon. So how much sales is happening in Gurgaon? So can I say that sales is actually able to slice on various dimensions? Customer by sales, then we have location by sales, then we have product by sales, which product is having more sales. So can I say that this sales is actually, I can slice based on customer, based on location, based on product? I have 3 dimensions in my data: customer, location, and product, and the sales field is actually sliced into all the 3 dimensions, and that logically makes sense. That dimension is known as additive dimension. Sorry, additive fact, my bad. Sales, right? That fact is known as additive fact, because my fact is actually able to slice on various dimensions. So that is my additive fact. Is additive fact making sense to all of you? I need responses. I see only 2 responses coming in. Any questions on this? Non-techies. All right. Now, semi-additive. Obviously, when I am not having, let's say I have a profit, but this profit is actually I am capturing only for the product. How much profit I am making from a product? Okay. Or let's say, let's not take profit as an example. Let's take discount as an example. There is a discount going on some product. There is a location also. There is a customer also. But I am giving the discount on a product for all the location. So basically, can I say that this product is the only dimension where when I check the discount will make sense? Because I am giving the discount on a product. I am not giving any discount based on the location. So can I say that when I'm slicing the discount with product will make sense? When I'm slicing the discount with location or with customer will not make any sense, because the discount is on the products. Discount is not on the customers. Discount is not on the locations. So as of now, only one dimension is making sense by slicing this particular measure. That is why it is known as semi-additive. Clear, all of you? Next is non-additive. Absolutely. That means I have one value in the fact table, but when I'm slicing by customer or slicing by location or slicing by product is not making any sense. That is just a number present in my data, but when we are using slicing, it will not make any sense. Now, if I think about any example, I need to think also. Let's check in Google. I'm not able to recollect any example. Let me open, check in Google. Give me a minute. Non-additive profit margins. Right? Profit margins are non-additive. If a department has two employees and one employee has sold this 55% margin and other has sold in 45% margin, the profit margin of department is not 100%, right? Which makes sense. Customer ID is a dimension, Mahima. I need a number. Number means like profit margin. Now profit margin, let's say I purchased one product with 45% of profit, or let's say I sell one product with 45% of profit, but you sell one product with 30% of profit. So total are, we both are in same company, let's say. So it's not like we will have a 35 plus 45, 80% of profit, right? It's not the same. It's altogether we have to calculate what actually I have the profit margin. Okay, that is what this non-additive fact is. So basically, when I am having a fact which is not making any sense with any dimension, then that type of fact is non-additive fact. Suppose I have a table, I have some number here, and I have customer dimension, product dimension, and let's say location dimension. When I'm slicing and fetching this number will not make logical sense to me. Okay, so that is what my non-additive fact is. Final is fact-less fact. Now, fact-less fact, I will give you one example after some time. Right, I created one example. I'll show you that. But these are different type of facts. Are you guys clear with this? Is this making sense to all of you? So if someone asks you in the interview, what are different type of facts are, then these are the different type of facts. We have additive fact, we have semi-additive fact, we have non-additive fact, and we have fact-less fact. Any questions on this? Shall we proceed? All right. Now there are different type of dimensions as well. Now keep concentrating on my screen. These are the 5 different type of dimensions. First is known as slowly changing dimension. Slowly changing dimension is very, very important for interview point of view. I am not sure how many guys have a basic understanding of data warehousing, but these terms are very, very important. Slowly changing dimension. Now, what is slowly changing dimension is all about? I'll take one example. Now, slowly changing dimension has 3 parts, 3 types basically. Slowly changing dimension 1, also known as SCD1. Slowly changing dimension 2, known as SCD2, and third is slowly changing dimension 3, known as SCD3. Now, what are these SCD1, SCD2, SCD3s? Let's try to understand this. Okay, very, very important. An interview में पूछेंगे ही पूछेंगे. So, let's say we have a company, right? Kushal is in my company, Swadesh is in my company, let's say Sneha is in my company, Priyanka is in my company. Okay, so employee 1, employee 2, employee 3, employee 4. Sudesh, Kushal, Sneha, and Priyanka. I have now. This is my employee ID. This is my employee name. This is my location. Now, as of now, all are in Nagpur. Okay, all are in Nagpur as of now. Their date of join, DOJ. Let's say Swadesh joined me on 1/1/2019. Kushal joined me on 1/1/2020. Sneha joined me on 1/2/2019. And Priyanka joined me on 1/3/2020. Now, let's say Sudesh got transfer. He got transferred to Gurgaon. Now, what will you do in this data? I need now responses from you guys. Sudesh got transfer from Nagpur to Gurgaon. What will happen here? What will you guys do? Be interactive, guys. This will make more sense to all of us. I want to update the location. So, shall I update this to Gurgaon? Is this making sense, all of you? But do you see any problem here? Swadesh is in my company. He joined in 1st January 2019. But where? He joined in Nagpur. But I updated the location. So the history is lost. Can I say that? The Nagpur information is no longer with me, guys. So history is lost. So if someone asks me, okay, so they joined when? 1st January 2019. Where he joined? Gurgaon. No, it was Nagpur. So this type of update when you are doing, this is one type of update only, right? This type of update is known as SCD1. Slowly changing dimension 1, where we are updating the current value. History will not be maintained. But the problem is, obviously, the history will not be maintained, but the benefit is my data is not increasing, right? Because let's say if I'm making a history, then one more record will get inside the database. I have thousands of employees. Every day they like people are transferring. My records will increase drastically, right? So SCD1 has a benefit where I am just updating the data and I am not taking care of the history. The benefit is my database is not increasing drastically, but the problem is the history is not maintained. All clear, all of you guys? Make sense to all of you? Slowly changing dimension 1 is very, very important. Like slowly changing dimension is very, very important. One is one of the examples. Now let's talk about second, slowly changing dimension 3. I will not talk about 2 as of now. I'll talk about 2 after 3. Now, business says that do one thing. We are losing the history. Can we make at least one history with me? Let's say Swadesh moved from Nagpur to Gurgaon. Now, after that, he moved to Pune. At least I want two history with me, like current value and the previous value. That I need. Rest, if you are losing, I am okay with that. Okay. So that is my slowly changing dimension 2, and the table structure will look like employee ID, employee name, then we have location, C location, which is current location, P location, which is past location, okay, and then date of joining. Now what will happen? One, Swadesh, now he moved to Pune after Gurgaon and he joined 112019. So now what is the benefit? I am actually maintaining one history and current location. But before Gurgaon, where he was, I am not sure. I'm not maintaining that history. That is my SCD3. So basically, I am adding one new column for the previous location. Clear, all of you? Now, SCD2, which is we are using a lot in industry because we are maintaining the history. Now, question arises: how we will maintain the history? Here we go. Keep this in mind because this is very, very important. And in I think almost in my every project, I applied SCD2 with some limitations. We'll discuss that. I have employee ID, employee name. Let's do one thing. Let me take the blank. Yeah. So employee ID, employee name. Okay. After that, we will have a location. No issues. Only one column. So start date, end date. Okay. See this, how beautiful this structure will be. Let's talk about Swadesh. Okay. And other students are like, they did not get transfer. Only Swadesh is getting transfer because he is not working and we are just moving him इधर उधर डाल रहे हैं हम लोग ताकि कहीं तो काम करे वो. Okay. So employee ID 1, Swadesh, he joined in Nagpur. Employee ID 2, employee ID 3, employee ID 4. Kushal, Sneha, Priyanka, all joined in Nagpur. No issues. Perfect. Start date, he joined in 112019 and he joined in 112020, 122019, 132020. Okay, this is what my data is. But what will be the end date? Guys, what will be the end date? What do you think will be the end date? Any answer? I cannot put any end date, right? End date is like when he left the job or when he moved from the location. So obviously in the end date, either I can put null or something else. In industry, we don't put null. Okay, please concentrate, guys. It is very important concept. We put something like high end date 31 12 9 9 9 9 31 12 9 9 9 9 31 12 9 9 9 9 31 12 9 9 9 9. That is the date we will normally put. Now you will understand this concept once I will transfer Swadesh from here. Then it will make more logical sense. Now Swadesh get a transfer. Employee ID 1, Swadesh. Now he is in Gurgaon. When did he move to Gurgaon? He moved to Gurgaon in, let's say, 2 October 2019. That means, can I say Swadesh was there in Nagpur till 1st October 2019? Can I say that? So can I update this end date to 1st October 2019 or not? And now can I update this date to 31/12/9999 or not? Now can I say that this record is the active record and this record is a dead record, closed record? Can I say that? It's an active record, right? Because the end date is 31/12/9999 is an active record, and here the end date is 1/10/2019. It's a closed record. How beautiful is that? You see here, start date, end date, and then next day is the start date, end date, and suppose again he will get transfer. So it's like a zigzag type of structure. Let him transfer again. Let me remove Kushal from my company. He's not doing anything. So let me remove him. And because Kushal and Swadesh both are friends, so they are doing time pass. So let me remove Kushal and move Swadesh from Gurgaon to Pune. Now I moved him on 1st of April 2020 during Corona time to Pune. So can I say that here the last day is 31st March for him in Gurgaon? So 31st March 2020, and this will be 31/12/9999. How beautiful, right? From here. So now someone asked when Swadesh joined. He joined on 1st January 2019. What is the location at that point? I have the history, right? What is the current location? I'll just filter out on this date. Employee name is Swadesh and the end date is this. I'll get the current location. If I want to know different locations of Swadesh, I'll just put employee ID or employee name as Swadesh. I'll get all the different locations and different dates also. Are you guys understanding it? Any questions on this? Not understanding Swadesh or understanding? No, sir, likh raha tu. Clear. Okay. This is one way of slowly changing dimension. There is one more way. Normally, what we do is we don't put this like we normally put end date and start date. But suppose I don't want to put this two columns. What we do is we'll just have let me create a new page. So normally what we do is we can also go with this option. So employee ID, employee name, location, flag, okay, and date. What will happen? One, Swadesh, Nagpur, flag is no. This is N. N means no. Okay, this is Nagpur, and this is no. And let's say 1/1/2019. Then again employee ID 1 Swadesh. Now he is in Gurgaon. Still no 1/10/2019 and 1 Swadesh. Now he is in Pune. Y and 1/4/2020. Now what is the benefit here? I have only one column which is flag. Where the flag is N, that means it's a closed record. When the flag is Y, that means it's a open record. And from here, I will able to understand when was his first day, when was his first day, when was his first day. Okay, so that is also one way of going for applying the slowly changing dimension. This is known as SCD2. Is this making sense, all of you? But what is the problem here? We are obviously maintaining the history. Beautiful. But the problem is every transfer will lead to one new record. Right? My records will increase drastically. That is the problem. So if you have the budget where you can have the database and you can spend some money on that, then we can go for SCD2. Sometimes what people also do is, let's say, I want the history for last 90 days only, right? So suppose in last 90 days, so this transfer three times, so I will have all the three records for him. But let's say in last 90 days, so this has two transfers, but earlier he has five more transfer. I will have only two data. This all will be removed. So that is purely based on the business to business requirement. Suppose business says that I want only 90 past days data only, I don't want more than that, then we can write a logic where I will just have the 90 days data, and any transfers which are happening during that 90 days, then we will capture that, and any transfer which are happening before 90 days, then we will remove it. We will not maintain the history. So it's like a hybrid type of SCD, right? Where I'll not fetching entire data, but we are fetching few of the data. Okay, so that is about slowly changing dimension. I am hoping that everyone is clear. This is very, very important, because if I will be an interviewer, I will definitely ask, right? And obviously people will ask also, because it's a very important concept. We use it a lot. So these are the different SCD types. SCD1, override the old data. SCD type 2, add a new row, right? SCD type 3, add a new column. Just the previous location I am maintaining the data, so that is SCD3. Next, confirmed dimension. Now, what is confirmed dimension? I have two facts. Facts we already know now. It's a numbers, right? So I have a sales fact and I have a, let's say, fact two, maybe profit fact or maybe marketing fact, something like that. Can I say that geographic dimension is actually sharing both the facts? Sales across geography, sales across time, marketing across geography, marketing across time. Make sense? So can I say that these are the two dimensions which will be used in sales as well as marketing? So when the dimensions which are common between the facts is nothing but confirmed dimensions. Simple. Any doubts here? So when the dimension we are sharing, then it is a confirmed dimension. Confirmed dimension is nothing but I have a sales fact. So I have a table where I have all the sales information with me. Okay. I have a table with all the sales information with me. I have a table which has all the marketing information with me. Let's say it's a marketing fact. Marketing related numbers I have. Now I have a dimension which is geographical dimension. Can I say geographical dimension is very much useful for me to get the sales? Let's say sales in India, sales in Japan, sales in US, and so on. So geographical with sales is making sense, right? Same way geographical with marketing. Let's say in India, I am doing this much of marketing. In US, I am doing this much of marketing, right? This much of amount I spend on the marketing. So this geographical dimension I am using in the sales. This geographical dimension I am using in the marketing also. Same way time dimension. How much sales happened yesterday? How much sales happened last quarter? How much spend happened on marketing last quarter? How much spend happened yesterday? So can I say that time and geographical dimension I am using both in the sales as well as marketing. So that dimension is known as confirmed dimension. Make sense? There are chances that product may be there in both, very much possible. But as an example, I just gave geographical and time. Right? Product can be, no doubt about that. But let's, for example, I just took only geographical and time. So that is my confirmed dimension. Is this clear, Sudesh and Harshal? Now, next type of dimension is degenerate dimension. Now, what is degenerate dimension? Now, we see here, is this invoice number when I'm capturing, right? I want to get the information. Now, obviously, this invoice number we will have in a separate table. Product ID we will have in a separate table. Quantity is a measure. Amount is a measure, right? So basically, I am creating a table which consists of some of the dimensions from some of the tables, which is product ID and invoice number, and we are capturing quantity and the amount as well, which are the measures, facts. So when we are creating an explicit table, because business wants that, they want to understand how much sales is happening by invoice number. Business wants how much sales is happening by invoice number. That is their requirement. So what they can do, they can create one table which will have all the information, which will have invoice number, which will have a product ID, which will have a quantity, which is a fact, which will have an amount, which is also a fact. So actually we are duplicating the data. I already have this amount data somewhere stored. I already have this quantity data somewhere stored. I have this product ID data stored somewhere, and I have this invoice number stored somewhere. But still I am creating a new table because business wants to analyze the invoice number based amount. Then it is a degenerate type of dimensions. Clear? Now, junk dimension. Now, junk dimension is what? You see here, I have junk dimension ID. Transaction successful. Let's say someone went to the ATM and he did the ATM transaction. So first guy had a successful transaction. So as he has a successful transaction, the flag I set as 1 in this column, transaction successful. However, in the failed, it will be 0 because the transaction was successful. No cash, invalid pin, no balance is actually not a relevant option because the transaction was successful. But let's say my transaction is not successful. So it failed, obviously. But what is the reason? No cash. Another transaction failed. What is the reason? Invalid pin. Another transaction failed. What is the reason? No balance. So basically, I am creating a table which is actually helping me to put all the transactions which are happening in my ATM with all the details of the transaction. Now, basically, this is again a dimension where I'm storing a flags. I would say it's a flag. One means it's a boolean, right? True, false. One means successful, 0 means false, failed. So I'm creating a dimension where I'm just storing the transactional information, which may be further analyzed if you want to. For example, how many transactions happened in the last 1 month, then how many successful transactions are there, so I'll sum up this column. How many unsuccessful transactions are there, I'll sum up these column, this column, and so on, right? What was the reason? Okay, in your ATM we have like 10 times no cash in last 10 months or in last 1 month, right? So these are the analysis we can do here, which makes sense, which is very important. So for that, I don't want to create any uh, I would say special type of dimension. We can just make it as a junk dimension. Okay, this is information. Just put that in a table. Done. I don't have to put. I don't have to give a proper type of, like, let's say customer dimension I have. In customer dimension, if I will go and put this detail, will not make any sense, right? Unnecessary. I'm making one dimension very big. So what I will do, I'll create a junk dimension. Because let's say if I have Swadesh is trying to do a transaction, and I will put this details in that table. The table is meant for customer details, customer name, customer location, customer age, and so on. If you are putting all these details also in the table, it's unnecessary. You are making a bigger table, which is not making any sense, right? So why not create a separate dimension altogether? In that case, junk dimension comes into picture. Clear, all of you? Shall we proceed? All right. So next is role playing dimension. So basically, it's a simple type of concept. Role playing dimension, they just gave the name. Role playing dimension is nothing but, suppose I want to know what is the order date. I have the order date. What is the shipment date? I have a shipment date. What is the closure date? I have the closure date. So basically, one dimension only giving me multiple informations, right? In the date dimension, I have all the dates. So I'm putting the dates. Let's say order date, shipment date, closure date. I'm putting all the dates together in a single dimension. So basically, one dimension is helping me to solve all the problems. If I want to find the order date, I have this dimension. If I want to find the shipment date, I have the dimension. If I want to get the closure date, I have the dimension. Which dimension? Role playing dimension, which is nothing but time dimension. Like time dimension is one of the examples which we spoke about just now. Okay. So when one dimension is solving multiple purposes, that type of dimension is known as role playing dimension. Okay. So these are the different types of dimensions we have, which we normally use. But in interview, mostly they will ask about slowly changing dimension. All these dimensions are not very much relevant for us, but this slowly changing dimension is very, very important for us. Okay, because most of the dimensions we stored as a slowly changing dimension. All right, now data models. Now we will understand the data models. Let's say we got a project. We got a project of IPL, Indian Premier League. Okay. They say that, can you please create a data warehouse solution for me? We'll say, okay, no problem, we'll create it. How will you approach in a data warehouse project? Obviously, we have to get all the requirements from the business. We have to connect with them. We will have a multiple meetings with them. And once I have all the details with me, I will start creating the table structures. Okay. What does this table structure mean? For example, okay, it's IPL. What all tables I can have? I can have one table which is ground table, where I will have all the ground details, right? Then I will have a team table where I will have all the team details. Okay. Then I will have an umpire table. I'll have a player table. What all tables we can have? Think about it. I want to know how much revenue we are getting, right? How many audience we have. So audience table maybe. So what we will first do is we will try to understand what all possible tables we can create, because everything I don't want to store in one table. It will be very cluttered information. We'll talk about that. That type of tables are known as denormalized table. We'll talk about that later on. But as of now, what we want is we want to first think about the table, sponsor table. Absolutely, why not? Beautiful. So I can have sponsor tables and lot many tables, right? So I'll think about it, and obviously I'll just think and put that in a paper, that I am thinking of these are the tables I can have. I'm just putting that in paper. Now you tell me whether it is making sense or not. Okay. So that type of thing where I'm creating a tables, basically a rough tables. I'm not sure how many columns are there, what all columns I have to put that in the table. It's just a basic idea that okay, in the player table I can have player name, player age, player location, and so on. I can put those details whichever I understand, and I'll put that in a paper. That type of model is known as conceptual data model. We are creating a concept that we will have these things, we will have these things, we will have these columns, we'll have these data, and so on, right? So basically I'm creating a conceptual data model. It is just a concept which we are putting in a paper as of now. We will have a different talks with the business. They will agree on something, they will not agree on something. We may give some suggestion to them that okay, no, I think you are thinking about it, but I think that we can go with this option. We have to give the benefits of those options and all those things. So it's a conceptual type of data model which we will create in a piece of a paper. After that, there will be a logical model, logical data model. Now, what is logical data model? Let's take a simple example of office. I have an employee table. I have a department table. I give this example a lot. Employee table, department table. Now here, business like we and the business have a discussion. Okay, we'll have an employee ID. I'll have an employee name. I'll have a department ID. I'll have an employee salary. Okay, these are the columns I will have. In the department table, I will have department ID. I'll have a department name. Now, this is a conceptual data model as of now, till the time I decide on the primary key and the foreign key constraints. We will talk about primary key, foreign key in detail, but as of now, just try to understand. Can I say that employee ID can have the unique values? Like suppose my employee ID is 1. If I'm trying to add one more 1, it should fail, because I can have only one employee ID with name Rahul, right? If I'm trying to add one with Asta, it should give me an error. Yes or not? One cannot be duplicated. In a company, I cannot have duplicate employee IDs. So I'm making this employee ID as a primary key. Primary key has a feature where it cannot be duplicated. So now I started talking about constraints. These are known as constraints. Primary key constraint. We'll talk about that in the next weekend class very much in detail. So primary key constraints. Foreign key constraint. Now what is foreign key? You see here department ID and department ID present in both the tables. But in this table, department ID will be primary key, because in this department table I cannot duplicate 1 HR, 2 IT, 3 marketing, 4 sales, 4 finance. No. So I will have a unique value where 1, 2, 3, 4 is a unique value. That is why in department table, department ID is a primary key. But can I say that this department ID which is a primary key, is present in the employee table as well. So basically, department ID, which is a primary key in the department table, is a foreign key in the employee table. Now, what is the benefit of this? First of all, foreign key can be duplicated. Foreign key can be duplicated, right? Because, give me a minute. Because I can have multiple employees with same department. Yes or no? I can have multiple employees with the same department. Yes or no? Me, Swadesh, all are in IT department. So department ID will be one, let's say, or two. I can have, absolutely. Why not? So my department ID can be duplicated. Okay. So basically, foreign key can have duplicates, but primary key cannot have duplicates. So here, department ID is a primary key in the department table where you will not see any duplicates, but department ID is a foreign key in the employee table where you can see duplicates. No issues with that. That is one thing. Second, the main benefit of primary key and foreign key is, suppose from the employee table, if I am trying to delete one of the employee, let's say I am deleting Swadesh. Now Swadesh has a department ID 10, or let's say 2. Swadesh has a department ID as 2. So in this table, I have an entry of 2. And this is a foreign key which is present in the primary key here. I have this table, right? Department table, where I have the primary key as 2. So when you are trying to delete a record from a table where one foreign key is present, it will throw you an error. It will say that parent is present. Getting it? So that is the main benefit of this entire thing. Or if you are trying to delete from here, it will say that child is present. You cannot delete it, which maintains my data consistency, which maintains my data accuracy, which maintains my data quality, which you cannot able to see in the Excel files. We'll discuss more about foreign key, primary key in the next week's class. But are you guys understanding it? So when we are in a table defining primary keys and foreign keys, then that type of model is known as logical data model. Clear, all of you? I need responses. Now the third is physical data model. Now what is physical data model? You created a paper with all the ideas. You created all the relations, right? Primary key, foreign key, all those things. But now you have to develop that in the database. You have to create that in the database physically. So physical data model is nothing but when you are actually developing the entire table structures, and that is nothing but physical data models. All right. So that is what different type of data models are. And again, once we'll start creating the tables, you'll get more idea about primary key, foreign key, and all the stuffs. So we'll discuss that more once we'll start practical. This is a sample data model which you can see here. This is how the data model looks like. Now here, let's try to understand. If you see here, I have an employee table. Employee table has a primary key. You see here, this key is nothing but primary key. Now this employee number is going to the titles where employee number is also present here, which is nothing but foreign key. It's orange color, different color. In this title and from date, the combination of two columns are becoming primary key. I have two columns. Combining two columns is a primary key. That is known as composite primary key. We'll talk about that again in detail. Don't worry about that. But when we are having two columns, right, and we are making the combination of two columns as a unique column, then that two columns combination is known as composite primary key. If you see here also, I have employee number, which is a foreign key in the salaries table as well. In the salary from date is a key, which is a primary key. If you see here from employee table, we have department employee, where employee number, department number, I have a column. And then again, we have this department table where department number is a primary key, which is a foreign key in this table. In the department manager, department number is a foreign key, employee number is a foreign key. I don't have any primary key in this table. Possible, very much possible. So this is my rough data model, which is a very basic data model, which helps me understand, okay, in the employee table, I will have employee number, birth date, first name, last name, gender, and hire date. These are the data types: integer, date, varchar. This is like male and female, enum, and we have this date. Same way in different tables also, we'll get the details. All right. So that is my sample data model. Make sense? Is this image able to understand what it is? And this is nothing but my logical data model, because I already have all the primary keys, foreign keys, right? It's logically built, but we have to create the physical tables also, is my physical data model. So again, that once we'll start creating the table, then it will be more making sense. Okay. So this is the difference between data models. So basically we have conceptual data model, logical data model, physical data model, where in conceptual data model, entities and relationships. Now what is entities? The column names, right? Attributes. And relationships. So you can see our attributes mentions our entities and relationships. So I can have any, like entities are like tables, and I will have a relation between the tables. Yes, we are able to see the relation in conceptual, in logical. In physical, we are creating it, so not will not able to see that. It's like we are just implementing it. But you will able to see in the paper where I have the relationships between the tables. I have the attributes. Attributes are like the columns. Entities are like the tables. So are there tables and relationships? Yes, we have in both conceptual and logical. Are there attributes? Yes, in conceptual and logical. Are primary keys and foreign keys specified? No, in the conceptual, but yes, in the logical, and yes, in the physical also. Are there table names? Table names initially will not give table names. We'll give, okay, this is my table 1, then table 2, and so on. And in logical, we will give the table names, may not. It depends, purely based on how you want to develop. Sometimes we normally give table names also in the logical data model. And then in physical data model, obviously, once you are creating a table, you have to give the table name, right? So the table name will be there. But initial, the very conceptual model, we, if you are not giving the table name, because table name is like an employee table, so like we'll give EMPTBL. So EMPTBL is a table name. But in real time, I may have to rename it to proper business, T underscore EMP underscore data underscore TBL. We have to give some logical and proper name. So initially, when we are creating a conceptual data model, we don't require to give the table name. It's okay. But after logical, we prefer, like in logical also, we normally prefer to create the table name. Are there column names and data types mentioned? Again, column names and data types, if you are not mentioning in the conceptual model, we are okay with that. But in logical model, we will prefer to give, right? We will prefer to give the column names and the data types. Absolutely. So it should be yes. Is it a database dependent? No, obviously, because conceptual model and logical model is not data model dependent, because we are not creating it. Once we are going to create it, then it will be logically making sense, or then only I will say that it is dependent on database. So my physical data model is dependent on the database. However, the conceptual and the logical model are not. Any other database objects like views specified? Views, we will talk about that again once we'll reach at the last of the SQL classes. But views are not specified in the conceptual and the logical data model, but yes, it is present in the physical data. What kind of user it is targeted? Business user in conceptual and the logical model. But physical model will be more technical because we are implementing the code now. So once we are implementing the code, then obviously I need some more technical folks who can understand from the business. From the business, I need some technical people so that I can able to share my information, what I'm doing, so that once it will be operational, they will able to understand what's going on. All right. So is this clear to all of you? Till this point, are you guys good? All right. We'll stop here. The reason is